did your mom influence you in your life?
I came to the United States because of my mom. She brought me when I was a month old. She was a single parent, not married, unfortunately abandoned by my father, and I never had any siblings either. So it was tough for her because she had to face what I faced many years after, but at least I was married and I had a career and I had opportunities, but she was an immigrant that had to look for her papers, like to become legal in this country by herself. She didn't have any money to go to education, nor the knowledge to get the scholarships needed. So every job she did was pretty much the low paying, talking about housekeeping or cleaning hotels, cleaning hospitals, delivering newspaper jobs or harvesting the tomatoes or the strawberries from the fields in Homestead, Florida, down in the south in the heat. So she had to do a lot of jobs for me to go to school. And when I say that is because she deeply believed in Catholic religious school. So she wanted me to go to a private school, and that wasn't cheap for her. So all her goal was for me to become educated and to be able to make it on my own, so not depend on, unfortunately, again, the third world country mentality, you have to depend on a man, right? A woman usually, the achievements are seen by your husband, not by your own. So she wanted me to not do that, to be able to be on my own, whether I was married or not. And she gave me the best role model I could think because she did things that I learned in college later on. Like she was the head of a folkloric culture program that brought singers from Peru, cultural singers and dancers from Peru. And she did what marketing would do, what anybody in the business management or marketing would do in the United States with a degree, but she did it without any degree. And now when I went to school, which I actually got an MBA, and I went to school to do some of those classes, what the professor was teaching me is what my mom had done in the past without any education, which was pretty interesting for me to see how you make things happen when you have that strength and that hunger to continue on.
And so we know you're here as a math teacher and you have a history of math, and so you've loved math since you were a child. What is it about math that drew you to it?
What always interested me was having a problem that you cannot solve that easy, and you have to find different logical ways to arrive to the answer, and I really liked that, and I saw the connection at an earlier age. I saw the connection how things even in languages like that, where there's patterns and there's always different ways where you can solve. Ultimately, I think math, it's used in every single discipline where you're always trying to find solution, right? Become efficient problem solvers.
So I heard you were active in the Navy for a while. Tell us why you wanted to join the Navy and what was your experience there as a female?
Well, I joined the Navy at a very young age, at 17. At 17, most of us don't know what we're doing really. But the thing is that I wanted independence, and I also wanted a way to go to college, and I knew the military offered what's called the GI Bill, which is a way to pay for your school. So when I enrolled, or when I enlisted, I was actually looking for the one that gave me the least physical activity because I wasn't too good at running. And I said, okay, which one requires the least amount? Some of them, I know Marines do 3 miles, Army does 2 miles, but Navy did 1.5 miles. So I was really interested with that. So I said, I'm going with the Navy. Plus, I did really well. They usually test you on a test called the ASVAB. So they tested me, and I scored high on the math side. So they wanted me to work with electronics. So I ended up being an aviation electronic technician in the Navy.
So I did some research, and you could have been a Navy diver, a Navy aviator, etc. Why did you choose to become a sailor?
So again, when they did the testing, they decided, pretty much they decide for you. When you enlist, they decide or they give you a kind of like an idea of what your scores are like in the test, so that you can perform well, and also something that you would like. Somehow my test scored high in electronics, and I have no idea why because I had no background on, but I guess it's got to be the connection with the math. And they had me do I fixed radars, radios, and aircraft carriers for all the aircraft for the Navy at that time.
And so today there are about 17.8% of women in the Navy. Do you see that number increasing in the future?
I'm aware of those numbers. In the Army, I think it's even lower, like 15%. Unfortunately, it's been stagnant for the past decade. I don't think it has gone anywhere. I wish and I hope it does, so that we can have more equality in gender. And I hope that women would want to join, whether it's an enlisted or as an officer. It's a challenge, and I think many women don't take it for different reasons, and one of them being the strength, maybe, thinking like what I thought, right, at a very young age, like, oh, this is too hard for me, and men are usually perceived as the strong sex, right, the strong gender, so we don't think we can do it, but if I did it, any person can do it.
What do you feel like women add to the Navy that men do?
I think men and women, I'm not going to say that it's not equal for both.
Yeah.
They have different sorts of responsibility, but as female, we have other senses and other ways that allows us to communicate or negotiate in a different way that men characteristically have done in the past. So I think with that, women can get to better solutions sometimes, or not saying better, but different rather, and that will bring some sort of a stability in some situations.
All right.
Especially where military have to deal with a lot of negotiation with other countries, and I think it would be different.
And are there any other topics about women that you would like to talk about, just like in general?
One of the main things that I probably want you guys and you all gentlemen in the school to know is that as you grow and you see different work environments, to treat every person with the same respect, the same ideology that you have for yourself, for everyone, not to ever think that a person, because of their sex or their background, it's any different in matters of being able to achieve the same accomplishments or goals. We're all people, we're all able, and I know, some men definitely are stronger than women physically, yet mentally we can achieve the same things, and we have to be aware of that. We also have to be aware that harassment is a big thing in many work environments, and it's easily confused, so we have to always maintain our respect in every sense, the way you communicate, the way verbal and body language with both sexes.
So do you have a story where you feel like you were treated fairly as men?
Yes, I do. In the Navy, I lived in the barracks, which are like dorms. I lived in barracks that had two wings, they called it, right? 2 wings per floor. It was total of 6, 2 per floor and 3 floors. And only 1 of them were females and the other 5 were males. So any type, like say for example, if I was going to go to the laundry or something, there was always a big amount of males there, and unfortunately they were not always respectful. And for example, if you're comfortable and you want to do laundry, you go with shorts and maybe a tank top, right? And nobody's going to bother you, but if a girl does that, then men are not always the best at being respectful and just say, they're doing their thing. So due to that, I got a few times I felt harassed, and I also felt intimidated by saying anything, so I did not say much and just held that inside of me. But then in another situation, I feel, but I'm never going to know if this was a discrimination situation, but I think the more I think about it, I'm like, I wish I would have spoke up at that time, but it happened with one chief in the Navy. I scored the highest in my class for a specific electronic job. It was a 3-month course, and my mom got really ill in Peru, so I had to take what's called a leave of absence, an emergency leave of absence for only 2 days. And I was there for her surgery and came back immediately. And because I was absent those 2 days, they took away the highest price they had for me, because they were going to give you like a special decoration, like they usually do ribbons. So I didn't get it, but I went and I asked, I said, why? I know it was 2 days and it was an emergency case. They even got an emergency procedure through the American Red Cross, so they knew. And the chief said it's because of my English. And I did not understand, because if I had scored the highest, I had proven that my English was okay. So I didn't believe that story. I just didn't know why. And it was given to another person, a male. Doesn't matter the race, I guess. It just matters the fact that it wasn't given to someone who deserved it. As a female, I'm trying my best so that I can help shape you guys, gentlemen, of character, and become good leaders in math and good leaders in general.